Hi, I'm Deacon Liam and welcome to the Chaplaincy. There's a saying, you are what you eat. And usually this applies to food. You eat too much of the wrong stuff, you'll find yourself getting unhealthy, putting on weight, being lethargic, losing your energy and maybe even getting ill. But it applies to so much more than just food. It applies to whatever we feed ourselves. Physically, intellectually, emotionally. I've even noticed it in the short time that I've been at home since the schools have finished. Introducing my sons to a few more action films, superhero, Marvel stuff. And my wife's already noted how their play is becoming a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more physical, which is fine. But it's interesting how the media that they've been feeding on has somehow influenced that change. And for me, a big thing that feeds me is music. And the content of our music is something that we should perhaps think quite deeply about. Now, on my Spotify, I've got a parental filter, explicit language filter on there. I call it a parent filter because I put it on there when I didn't want my children hearing certain words in songs. And like many things, it's songs that get stuck in our heads so easily. And so I put that filter on to stop the explicit language. But it made me think what it doesn't actually stop is the messages that are in these songs. Because for me personally, many songs are explicit in their content, if not their language. A lot of songs can be aggressive, violent, degrading to women, overly sexualized, and we still listen to that music. And if we are what we eat, we can see how that can affect our behaviour. You don't find many aggressive people listening to cheesy pop. Now perhaps it's a person that feels a certain way that looks for a certain music that they can relate to, but perhaps sometimes it works both ways, that the music we listen to influences us. I remember going into a music shop called Our Price when I was in about year 8 or year 9, and I bought an album that was selling really big at the time. And on the front cover it said, "Parental Advisory, Explicit Lyrics." And when I bought it from the guy in the shop, he looked at me and said, "You can't bring this back if your mum doesn't like it." And I listened to that album, and that album was full of drug references, violence, swearing, and although I don't think it necessarily affected my behaviour tangibly, I don't think many people would have noticed me become some sort of gangster because of the music I was listening to. Some of those lyrics of those songs are still deeply embedded in me now. And sometimes I even find myself singing them or going through them in my head, even though that their language is vulgar and their lyrical content is evil. And this is from an artist that has gone on to be pretty mainstream, even acting in films, having great collaborations with other popular artists over the last 20 years. We are what we eat. So I'd like to propose that we become more aware of what we digest with our ears. You see, songs are really powerful. Music is really emotive. We use music to soundtrack our life. So many people do everything with earphones in. We're constantly digesting this stuff, and the words get stuck in our heads and influence our thinking. So why don't we have a look really carefully at what we're digesting, particularly as we're spending more time at home now, saturating ourselves in media. Now, I'm a big fan of Christian music. And it's not because of the type of music it is, the particular sound or the particular nature, but I know that the content of these songs resonates with who I am as a person and what I believe in. And Christian music isn't a genre because it includes all genres. Now, quite often, the only time we as Catholics get exposed to Christian music is when someone trendy tries to include them in some sort of liturgy or music for Mass. And actually, using some of this music in our Mass isn't appropriate. It doesn't fit. There can be a clash when we try to incorporate the timely music of pop culture with the timeless ancient liturgy of the Mass. So perhaps the two can remain separate, but what we can do is digest this music in our everyday life. Quite often this music is written reflecting on the Bible, so sacred words of scripture is put to music. This has always been the case in classic hymns, and it's the case as well with contemporary Christian music. Now, if those words of those profound rap songs when I was a teenager are still stuck in my head now, how good would it be for the affirming words of scripture to get stuck into my head? Rather than degrading to women or sexualized or violent in nature, songs planting lyrics in my head that speak about my self-worth, that speak about my potential, that speak about how loved I am by God, that call me out of myself to look out to the world to make a difference. I find it doesn't make me a better Christian, this music makes me a better human. So from now on, every Monday I'm going to be suggesting a new artist or a new song. I'm going to call it Music Mondays. I'll be putting a suggestion out through Instagram at thechaplaincy.net. Hopefully something that will inspire you to think slightly different about yourself and perhaps replace some of the other music that's in your playlist. So if we are what we eat, I'm suggesting that we become more aware of what we're feeding ourselves. Don't just think about the language and the words that are used in our songs, but what is it promoting? What is it suggesting? How does it make you feel about yourself and think about the world? And is there another type of music out there that can inspire you to think higher of yourself, motivate you to be a more integrated human being, and to look out to see what more you can do for others, especially those most in need? Thanks for stopping by the Chaplaincy, and I'll see you soon. So why don't you let me know in the comment section below if you know any good music that's inspiring, uplifting, that I could be sharing out through Instagram. If you've got any suggestions of songs that really make you feel good and make you want to be a better person, then please let me know in the comment section down below. If you can, please like, subscribe, and do whatever you need to do to be notified when I put a video out. But if you don't want to do any of that stuff, hey, have a great week anyway. See you soon. Bye. I'm not proposing that we'd all start wearing socks and sandals and start singing Kumbaya. Although, saying that, while we've been staying home and saving lives, I've been doing a lot of socks and sandaling. It is great. Those sliders and white socks, they're comfy.